So, well, let's talk about a couple things. Division, order matters, right? So you have to be very careful. If I have the problem written this way, and I'm going to do long division, remember the long division sign? It looked kind of like that.
Yeah.
Who goes out here?
The smaller has
25. It's whatever you are dividing by. And then whoever is getting divided goes on the inside.
See, when we were in where was it?
People inside. Fifth grade.
Yeah, fifth grade. One of our teachers, she would tell us that the smaller number wanted to get inside the house, but the bigger number was too big and took off all the room, so then the smaller number had to shrink it somehow.
Well, that's really what the case when it's negative.
The problem is you can divide a smaller number by a bigger number, though. And then you're going to get all mixed up who goes where. It's always just whatever you're dividing by goes on the outside. Do you guys remember how to do this? Do it if you remember how. Sam.
You know, so the number behind raised in front of the first number to get inside.
Okay. However you remember it. So, if you don't remember, here's how it goes. 25. 25 can't go into the number 6. It's too small. So then I go 2 digits. 25 can go into 63. How many whole times can 25 go into 63? Twice. So above the 3, I place a 2. And then do you remember what you do with that 2 up top? And then but what do I do with it?
You multiply it.
You multiply. You do 2 times 25, which is 50. And then you subtract those two numbers. 63 minus 50 is 13. And then you bring down the next digit, which in this case is a 0. Then you kind of just repeat the process. How many times can 25 go into 130? 5 times. So I put a 5 up top. I do 5 times 25, which is 125, I believe. Subtract, I get a 5. Now, in elementary school, you would just stop here and say remainder of 5. Or you would add a decimal, right? If you wanted to go into decimal land, I would just have a decimal up top.
I got 252.
And how many times can 25 go into 50? Twice. 2 times 25 is 50. And I now have a remainder of 0. So if I did 630 divided by 25, the answer, the quotient, if you will, is 25.2.
Devin, you had it done. You did it
What
right.
is the remainder of a division answer? Quotient.
Well, the remainder of this one was 5 until we didn't do it with remainders. We just
So-
kept going, I guess.
Whenever you have, so we didn't have a decimal in the question, but we're gonna be working with decimals, so you always wanna have a decimal in your answer if there's a decimal in the question. You're not gonna write it with a remainder or with a fraction.
Okay, so you remember the gist of long division? Yeah? So, we're going to throw some decimals in there. I wonder if you remember the rule before with decimals. Yeah, Tommy? Yes. This number out here isn't allowed to have any decimals in it. So if it does, yeah, we have to move it over in both. The one inside, it can have decimals, that's fine. So let's say we were trying to do, I don't know, let's do 630 divided by 2.5. Right. So, I would have the 2.5 on the outside and the 630 on the inside. However, I just told you this number can't have a decimal on it. So in order to get rid of it, if I just move that decimal one space to the right, it would just be the number 25. It wouldn't be a decimal anymore. You're allowed to do that as long as you do the same thing on the inside.
There is no decimals.
Well, there is.
Different one.
Where is it right now?
In front of it?
Where's the decimal in the number 630? It's at it's always at the end of the number. So if I move this decimal place over 1, I just have to do the same thing here, which means I need to add in what right here? A 0. So it's really the same problem as doing 25 divided into 6,300. That's the same exact problem as 630 divided by 2.5. But now I don't have any decimals in the number out in front. So now I can continue like I normally would. So 25 can't go into 6, but it goes into 63 twice. 50 minus 7, drop down to 0. Oh, just kidding, 13. 13. 25 into 130 is 5 times. That's 125.
Can you slow down, please?
Sure. I was going a little fast because we had
Kind
done,
of the same math we did for the last problem.
yeah.
Except this one, we didn't have to add a 0 at the end. That's where we had it.
So this time, my answer is just a whole number, 252. It worked out perfectly.
That's what I got in the last.
Okay. Let's try another one. Let's say you had, I'm just making this up, so I don't know if the numbers are going to work out nicely. Let's say you had 16.25 and you wanted to divide it by, oh, I don't know, 0.3. When what be 0.75? You're thinking 3/4, I think. But I don't have a 3/4. So, go ahead and set this up. Hopefully you remember 0.3 is going to be on the outside.
You know when we get our log progress reports? We get them tomorrow. And then
But before you begin, what do you have to do?
pay attention.
What do you have to do?
You have to see if the first one doesn't see 12
Before that, I have to move the decimal. This number out here, called the divisor, by the way, cannot have a decimal in it. Guys, are you listening?
Yes. Well,
So, in order to make this number not have a decimal, I'm going to move it one place to the right. So now it's just the number 3. So what do I have to do inside?
move the decimals to one.
Yeah, so now I move it one place. So now I like to rewrite it because it gets a little too messy. So now I'm really doing 3 divided into 162.5.
162.
Now I do my long division as I normally would. I can't do 3 divided into 1, but I can do 3 into 16. How many whole times? 3 into 16. Someone said it 5. 5 times 3, 15. Subtract, and I get a 1. What goes next? Bring down the 2. 3 into 12. How many whole times? 4. So I put a 4 up top. 4 times 3 is 12. 0. Now what? Bring down the 5. You actually don't need the decimal. But what do I do with this decimal? Where does it go? Yeah, if I have a decimal here, there's also a decimal right there. How many times can 3 go into 5? Once. 1 times 3 is 3. Now, what do? That's not a 0.
Make a 0.
You add a 0 and you bring it down again. How many times can 3 go into 20? 6 whole times. 6 times 3 is 18.
54.
Yeah. It's just going to keep doing the same 20 business here. So I'm just going to keep getting 6s. So my final answer is just going to be 54.16 repeating. How'd we do? The only way I can make this harder is by throwing in signs, some positive, some negative, but you just would, if let's say I made this problem and I said it was negative 16.25 divided by 0.3. Well, how does it change my answer? Tommy? That's it. It just makes my answer negative. So me changing the signs just means you got to pay attention and make sure that your answer matches. But you do the math all the same way. Okay, are you guys ready to try some on your own?